Crowhill here. Today we review a Pilsner and discuss Trump the Authoritarian. Hey, good evening, Pigweed.
Good evening, Crowhill.
How's it going?
How about some beer and conversation?
That sounds like a great idea. What are we drinking?
This is a Pilsner. It's Skipjack from Union Brewing.
All right, fantastic. That's a good idea. I love that.
What's on your mind?
Well, everybody has been complaining that Trump is a threat to democracy. He's a dictator. He's an authoritarian, all that kind of stuff. And I'm just kind of curious, what are they talking about?
Is it just name calling because I hope it'll stick?
Yeah.
Or
is there anything there? Is there any substance to this?
We'll find out.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Very good.
So I was at, we were both at a party at Longinus' house, and we had a full keg of this stuff.
Yeah.
This Skipjack Pilsner, and I just was very impressed. I thought, it's Pilsner, you kind of think of it's the Bud Miller Coors beer.
Yeah.
But you know what? You can do better.
You can do better. Yes, and there are a lot of Pilsners that are, so those other beers are sort of Pilsner style, but they're not. Yeah. They're not quite actual Pilsners.
But taste that. That's exactly what I remember from that party, and then we got the next day, and I was like, this keg feels a little heavy. I mean, the walk of shame of returning
a full keg.
So we had to finish it off at 11 a.m.
Yeah. Well, you got to do what you got to do.
It was still good, and now it warmed up a little bit because the ice had melted, and it was better. Usually, those BMCs, you want to drink them good and cold because when they're warm, they kind of. And this got better as it warmed up. Yeah,
there's a couple things that stand out to me about this. One is it's got a hop presence, but it's not punch you in the face hops. It's not IPA hops, but you can taste the hops, both the bitterness and a little bit of aroma. Yeah. But also there's just a tiny bit of a malt backbone going on there.
Yes, there's an aftertaste. They those other beers, or they're clean finish. Like you swallow it and you feel like you swallowed water.
Yeah.
No, this has got a nice little something in the back door.
Something, yeah.
And
it's good. Really good. It's very good. All right, well done, Union Brewing, right up the street here. Keep them coming. All right. So, what is this deal with Trump?
Let's get a working definition. I mean, a formal definition, and then we'll say, well, does that jive with what people mean when they say authoritarian?
Sure. So, the dictionary, or dictionary.com, defines authoritarian as favoring complete obedience or subjection to authority as opposed to individual freedom.
Right.
Of or relating to a governmental or political system, principle, or practice in which freedom is held as completely subordinate to the power or authority of the state, centered either in one person or a small group that is not constitutionally accountable to the people.
All right. Well, from the gate, I don't really see what you mean by Trump the authoritarian. So, what are some examples that?
Well, the big one, of course, is when people say he tried to overturn the 2020 election. Right. That's the big one.
Yeah.
That he lost the election and then he said it was stolen and he tried to get it to be overturned. So that's probably the biggest one.
Right.
Yeah.
But what steps did he take to?
Well,
to get it
he put pressure on people. He put pressure on Mike Pence to not certify the election.
Right.
Which was not something Mike Pence could actually do legally, but that was what Trump was trying to get him to do. He also made some sort of a phone call to a guy in Georgia to try to get him to not certify results down there or something like that. He didn't like send in troops or anything. Some people would say that he encouraged rioting at the Capitol, but that's not all that convincing. I mean, he absolutely did and continues to say that the election was stolen. And, people can have their opinions about that. But what did he actually, did he turn over power? He did. Did he bring out the military? No.
Right.
Did he, arrest anybody? No. So, he argued and he complained.
And there were, I don't know, he's probably instrumental in some of the court cases where that were challenged and...
Yeah, so I'm
either
not
failed or just there were judges that just declined to hear the case.
Yeah, I'm not going to defend everything he did in that situation. I think he didn't act correctly in that situation, but if he was a dictator, if he was an authoritarian dictator, he would have behaved a lot differently than the way he behaved.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little overstated. Here, let me. I don't know. You want to work down your list here?
No, go because you have like a tier series
this
of tiers.
Guy, this is just from one guy who clearly thinks that Trump is an authoritarian, and so the question is, what are the most significant and/or egregious examples of illegal or unconstitutional behavior by Mr. Trump and his administration?
Okay,
and so he says he's got like this tier 1, tier 2, tier 3.
right.
Revoking security clearances and threatening companies that hire law firms that represent interests seen as adverse to the president personally.
Okay, so let's break that up. Revoking security clearances. He has every right to revoke any security clearance he wants to in any circumstances ever. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
The reason a person has a security clearance is to serve the president. If he doesn't think they're serving his interests, he revokes their security. There's nothing authoritarian about that.
I'll give you that.
Okay, now the second one, threatening companies that hire law firms that represent interest adverse to him personally.
So
that one
the
is
law
a little...
firms that went after him during the 4 years of lawfare.
Right.
You know,
I can understand him not having them on the top of his speed dial. You know, I mean, if you have Perkins Coie been going after you for 4 years, trying to get you in jail, and then you're going to be hiring a law firm in the new administration, you're going to say no Perkins Coie. So I understand that.
Yes, I don't know what he means by threatening companies that hire law firms.
Threatening them with what? What is he threatening them with? Is he going to say, you're not going to be on the top of my list for, if you want to be on my good side, then every politician does that.
Yeah.
Isn't that just politics?
Yeah. Threatening judges with impeachment or for adverse rulings.
Okay. He can't impeach them.
No, and impeaching judges is a process like impeaching presidents.
That's right. It's something that gets done. So if he's saying what you're saying is outrageous and you should be impeached, I mean, maybe that violates kind of, what the kinds of things that presidents normally say. Mm-hmm. Trump is obviously not your standard president. He doesn't follow the same rules as everybody else. But how is that? He's allowed to say that this judge should be impeached because of this ruling.
Yeah, that's an outrageous ruling. He has no authority to do that.
He can't do it. It's all up to the Senate if they wanted to impeach him.
Failing to comply with court orders.
Okay, well, so did Andrew Jackson.
And I have, although, except for like when Maryland man was flying.
Oh, right, and he didn't fly back.
He didn't turn around flying back, yes. And he's like, well, plane was already in the air.
Right.
And,
so generally speaking, you should comply with court orders, but I can see the president at certain times just, Andrew Jackson would say the court has its opinion, let him enforce it.
Right.
So this is the whole give and take and push-pull different areas of government. So yeah. I can understand I've been, honestly, for the last 25 years of my life, I've been waiting for a president to thumb his nose at the courts and say, that's a stupid decision. I'm not going to do it. So I don't see any of these things as inherently authoritarian. They are political hardball. Yeah. In some cases.
Yes.
But I don't see it as like a violation of office or anything.
Yeah, well, all right. How about tier 2?
Okay.
The following actions aimed at curbing criticism of the regime.
Okay.
All right. Such as the revocation of visas for permanent residents or students in retaliation for speech that would be clearly protected if engaged in by U.S. citizens and, according to this guy, and is in fact protected for non-citizens as well.
Okay. Well, if the latter part is true, then that's one question. But don't we have a say in who we allow into our country?
Exactly, and this is what Rubio was saying. He said, "Look, there's no right to a student visa,
right?
And if we think this is a clearly disruptive person, then they don't get a visa.
Yeah,
then they come but then they come into the country, they become that disruptive person, and you can't go, well, I wasn't disruptive till I got here.
Yeah.
Well, The whole point is we don't want people like that in the country, and yes, they can be revoked.
We're letting them in for our benefit.
Yeah.
I mean, for mutual benefit, for their benefit and for our benefit. But if we don't think it's to our benefit to have them in the country, revoke the visa and get them out of here.
I know, some of these guys, they're not even going to class anymore.
Yeah, they're just professional troublemakers. So why would you allow... So somebody comes into this country on a student visa, they want to come and they want to study physics. And we're thinking, okay, great, study physics, and maybe you can help us figure out these things in physics. And it turns out they're not studying physics. All they're doing is protesting and rabble-rousing and causing trouble. Yeah. Why do you want that person in the country?
So I don't see any authoritarianism.
No, and an American citizen who decides to do that, well, they can do that. That's their business.
Yep.
And they have absolute 100% right to do that. Yep.
Withdrawal or freezing of funds for research at universities that, in the administration's view, insufficiently crack down on Gaza-related protests or insufficiently committed to barring transgender female athletes participating in women's sports.
That sounds to me like stuff presidents do all the time, is they limit funds going to here, there, and otherwhere based on their priorities and their preferences.
Yeah, the president comes in, campaigns on an agenda, gets elected, feels that there's a mandate to implement that agenda, and when you have, and if one of the things is a less hateful universities, universities that are not all left-wing America-hating
nuts
producers of terrible children,
right?
And you want to affect that. Can affecting that come at the hands of
Didn't Obama
funds?
Didn't Obama do the same thing with handing over money to Solyndra and to? I mean, isn't this once again just what every politician does? Is they funnel money towards the people who are doing the things that they want done?
Yeah,
I'm not saying that's a lovely thing. That it would be nice if decisions were made for other reasons than that. But this is what politicians do all the time.
But right, so if you have an agenda, a state has an agenda that is clearly using federal funds against the administration.
Yeah.
In complete contrast to what the administration is trying to achieve.
Keep giving them money.
And you have a constitutional right to that money?
Yeah. Does some crackpot Northeast university that's liberal and doing all this crazy stuff, they have a constitutional right to federal money? Is that the alternative point of view? That they are, it's constitutionally required that we give money to universities that are undermining the administration's agenda?
Plus, there are no federal universities. They're all state universities. One thing get into money. How about this? How about the federal government just stops taking so much money from states and individuals in those states? Like, so you take the money from individuals in the state and say, okay, I'll give it back if you all abide by this behavior.
Right.
How about just not take the money in the first place?
How about that? That sounds like a good idea.
All right. And number C, threatening and in some cases bringing borderline frivolous or actually frivolous litigation against journalists and news outlets for airing constitutionally protected opinion, resulting in settlements that are tantamount to extortion.
Well, I have this article from The Hill, hardly a Republican news outlet, back from July of 2016, when Saint Barack was president.
Yeah.
And it says, no administration in memory has more thoroughly undermined freedom of speech and of the press than that of President Obama. And I'm not going to go through all the details, but most people don't remember this because most people don't follow freedom of the press and freedom of speech issues. And most people have this ridiculous idea that Obama was some kind of a saint. But he was the worst president in our history in terms of freedom of speech and freedom of the press. He did a lot of things to try to suppress freedom of the press. And so anybody who wants to complain about Trump, well, your buddy Saint Barack.
Well, the idea of frivolous, he keeps winning all of these things. So all the juries and judges are all agree that they're frivolous.
Apparently not frivolous.
I mean, there is protected opinion, and then there's defamatory lying. Mm-hmm. Okay, and how about this? Tier 3, I place all the unlawful firings of agency personnel via Doge or otherwise across the entire federal bureaucracy. Well, I mean,
once again, do people have a constitutional right to a job? And
federal government? Yeah, well, these federal people, boy, they sure
Yeah.
act like it. I mean, you can never what if you're just reducing the size of the government?
Yeah.
Or again, like we said, you come in. Look, I am the. This is the direction we're going to take the EPA.
Yeah.
You clearly are not willing to implement this.
Yeah.
So
you lose your job. Yeah.
Yeah, you get on board, or you lose your job, and so that's what that takes me to this other point about this idea of loyalty oath. Like, you have to be personally loyal to Donald Trump, and that's a sign of authoritarianism. To me, it's like the EPA guy somebody getting hired for the EPA going, all right, we're not doing all of this. We're done with that stuff. And the guy says, well, I am going to do that. And you say, okay, well, then you don't get hired. I mean...
Yeah. Did Barack Obama keep global warming critics in the EPA, for example?
Right. Yeah.
No.
Right. It's not a personality, a personal oath to Donald Trump. It's getting on board. This is the direction we're taking the country. Yeah. We're taking our country back. This is the direction we're moving. If you're on board, then come along. If not, you get fired. That's not failing to have personal loyalty to the president.
All the ones, I can go through my list, all the ones that I found were like people. So there's this criticism of the left, that the left always criticizes their opponents for doing what the left is actually doing.
Yeah.
Right? And that seems to be true. And with a lot of these things, like, for example, politicizing, weaponizing the Justice Department. I mean, come on. Were you around the last 6 years?
Yes.
That's what Joe Biden did. He was a master of that. Purging neutral watchdogs and civil service protections. I'm not even sure what that means. Using emergency extraordinary powers to bypass Congress. How about Obama? I have a pen and a phone.
Yeah, I think that the whole executive order thing probably is getting out of control, but it
is.
It didn't start here.
No, it didn't start with Trump. Deploying federal forces domestically over state objections. Okay, now that is that is an area that we need to discuss a little bit, because there is that posse comitatus thing that you can't use the army against, except...
But still, that is talking about the actual army.
Yes.
These are, they're called National Guard because they look like army, but
they're not.
Therefore, inside the borders.
Yes.
The posse comitatus is the actual Army, Navy, Air Force acting within the borders. That's not going on.
It's not going on. It could, if you invoke the Insurrection Act, which is one of these things that the left is hair on fire upset about. They're afraid that Trump is going to invoke the Insurrection Act, and maybe he will, but the Insurrection Act has been invoked 30 times in the history of the country to put down various kinds of riots and problems.
Eisenhower, Kennedy, Truman.
Yes. All the way back, people invoked the Insurrection Act because it's right there in the Constitution that Congress has authority to use the military to stop insurrections, and then they pass the Insurrection Act to give the president the authority to do that unilaterally without anybody questioning him.
But is there federal National Guard and individual state National Guard?
I don't know. I thought National Guard was always a state thing.
Well, when they brought in, because in the Summer of Love, they brought in what they said were federal troops to protect federal buildings. Mm-hmm. They weren't sweeping the streets of Portland. Mm-hmm. They were just in front of federal buildings. Who was that? Or is that a case where the federal government can?
Well, they can nationalize the National Guard, right? They can. The president can nationalize the state National Guard.
So is that what happened?
I don't know. Maybe so.
Yeah. I mean, that would make sense. That would make sense if their role is limited to protecting federal buildings, just like protecting. Like ICE is a federal agency.
Yeah.
Those are federal buildings.
Yeah.
If you bring in federal troops to protect those guys, that's not the same thing as.
But let's talk about this kind of at a little bit of a higher level. You have, like, Illinois you have the police not doing anything to protect ICE agents when they're surrounded by violent mobs. I mean, we've heard the police traffic,
Yes.
the dispatcher,
Yes.
saying, "Okay, we were sending police to go," and then the dispatcher
and the
saying,
next-
"No, take them back. We're not going to do
Yes,
that."
and then the next day I heard what sounded like a very reasonable denial on that part, and then I heard the actual recording. I'm
Yeah.
like, "It's exactly what you did. What
It's
do you
exactly
mean?
what you did. Yes. So we have situations where the governor, the mayor, is not using police to protect national ICE agents, federal agents,
Right.
against. So what they're doing, they are not enforcing the law. They're allowing violent people
Yes.
to attack federal agents.
Yes.
Now that sounds like Insurrection Act territory
Sounds
to
kind of
me.
insurrection-y.
Yeah. All right. Now this one I really had to laugh at. Calling the press the enemy of the people and delegitimizing independent media. Well, first of all, many of the press are the enemy of the people.
Yes.
I'm sorry, that's just a fact. But also, look at what Biden did for 4 years. He used the power of the White House to push Google and YouTube and Facebook
Yeah.
and Twitter
Yeah.
to suppress media outlets that they didn't agree with.
That they felt were unkind and uncooperative.
Now, is Trump doing that? No, he's going out and saying you're the enemy. He's being mean to them. He's saying mean things to them.
Yeah.
But is he using the power of the government to suppress their voice? No, that's what Biden did.
Yeah.
So this is just ridiculous. All right, targeting political adversaries. Oh, the lock her up, that one. Yeah, he said it. During the debates, he said that he was going to lock up Hillary Clinton. As far as I know, Hillary Clinton never went to jail.
No, so Comey. All right, so this is let's go with this one. Going after your political opponents.
Right.
That does sound authoritarian.
It does.
Hello.
Obama.
How about did they try to bankrupt a sitting president?
Yes.
Did they raid his home?
They tried to not only bankrupt, but debank him. They tried to get the banks to say, you can't have a Donald Trump account.
Right. Did they make up a dirty dossier, try to ruin his marriage,
Right.
send armed troops in to his private residence?
To arrest his friends. Yeah, all kinds of things.
So the fact that he's going after the people who tried to murder him,
Yeah.
who committed actual crimes, not making crimes up, not turning misdemeanors into felonies.
Yeah.
He's saying, James Comey, you are,
You are a lying SOB, and we're going to get you.
and
Yeah.
because
Because he is a lying SOB.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like every head.
how is
of
that
the-
going after your political opponents? Well, you mean the ones that tried to kill me?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. And also, like James Clapper, Brennan, all these guys have been lying to Congress repeatedly for decades.
Right.
That shouldn't there be some?
Smith?
Yeah, shouldn't there be some accountability for these guys? Are they his political enemies? Yes, they're his political enemies who were lying about him. And like, remember the whole 27 intelligence agencies certified that the Hunter Biden laptop story had all the marks of Russian. That
Right.
was a lie.
Yeah.
That was a flat out lie from the beginning.
Yes.
But so they were using
And
their
and media outlets
yeah
were
reporting that.
discouraged and threatened.
threatened against if you report this story, we're gonna demonetize you on Twitter and YouTube and everything. So who's using the power of the? So Trump says a lot of stuff for sure. He goes out and calls, you're the enemy of the people, you're fake news, you're a crappy reporter, and a lot. He says that stuff, but is he doing anything even remotely like what Obama or Biden did? I don't think so. I don't see it. Where is it happening?
No, I mean, because he's a bit of a loudmouth.
He is, yeah.
And he's lots of threats and bluster and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to be intimidated by that and think that that's authoritarian.
Right.
But if he doesn't actually back it up with
Right. Is he? Yeah. He said, lock her up. at rallies.
And everybody agreed. And everybody was hoping.
Everybody's yelling, lock her
was
up,
super
lock her
disappointed.
Up. I know, and then he didn't do it. It's like, there is this serious problem. I mean, every politician does this, and it's no good. They promise things throughout the campaign, and they don't do them. And Trump promised he was going to lock Hillary up. He didn't do it. He promised he was going to release the Epstein files. He didn't do that. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there are a lot of things that he said that haven't really happened. But I think a lot of this Trump the dictator stuff is reacting to his words, not to what he's actually doing.
How about if you look at all of these challenges to his agenda in court, mm-hmm. This unprecedented level of court challenges
right.
is either Trump is engaging in unprecedented levels of unconstitutional executive orders, which right. is I'm sure what they would say, or they see Trump as trying to, reshape and take back America, and the only weapon they have is lawfare, where mm-hmm. they can, find friendly judges
yeah.
that are randomly assigned. And all of these things are randomly assigned to anti-Trump judges with
yeah.
a history of ruling against the president
yeah.
In deep blue areas.
When Trump comes in to get rid of the deep state and undermine, get rid of the Washington bureaucratic control of the country. Did we think they weren't going to fight back? Of course they're going to fight back.
Yeah.
The administrative state and the federal judges and all these guys who are liberals are going to fight back against them. Of course they are. But generally speaking, Trump has been winning on appeal. And that he's won more than he's lost
yes.
on all these challenges to what he's doing. Yeah, so I mean, my reaction to this Trump the authoritarian stuff is first, you're crediting too much the words that he says and not the things that he actually does. Mm-hmm. And second, you're not looking at it as compared to what, right? You're complaining that he's against the media. Well, Biden and Obama were both against the media,
and most of the media was on their side.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're trying to say he's weaponizing the Department of Justice. I mean, come on.
I know
that one's the most laughable one. But
right, weaponizing the FBI.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
Every day you're finding out, from the they're spying on my campaign conspiracy, which turned out to be true.
Yes.
Weaponizing the warrants to go after him.
Yeah.
Weaponizing. We just found out there's 270 FBI agents in the crowd on January 6th.
Supposedly only after there was violence. Supposedly there were 270 agents in the crowd after there was violence reported at the event.
So you're saying they not that they were...
So it's not clear whether they were there like undercover trying to spur things on, which is the conspiracy. That's the conspiracy part. That there were all these feds in there trying to urge on the right-wing people. And, that might be true. But the only evidence we actually have is that they were there after there was violence. But, I mean, so Biden spied on Republican senators. Biden tried to create a disinformation board.
Oh, yeah. I
remember that
one.
Yeah. I mean, so when you're trying to say Trump is an authoritarian dictator...
Yeah, well, that was the other one, that they were checking the phones... Of tracking the calls,
yes, of Republican senators, and just came out
who were
a while ago.
In order to try to build their January 6th case. I think.
So it was persecuting your political opponents, weaponizing the Justice Department against your political opponents. Biden did it every day, and now they're complaining about Trump. So I'm not buying any. There are two things. There are two things where I would say Trump is a bit of a dictator.
All right.
First one is the tariffs.
Let's go with authoritarian. Even the demos.
Yeah. Not a dictator. Yeah, authoritarian. First one is tariffs. Now, apparently he has the legal authority to do what he's doing. And then if he does, and it seems like he does, then that's Congress's fault. You never should have given one man the authority to set tariffs. I mean, why can one man throw the entire world economy on its head because he thinks, I'm going to change it to 50, I'm going to change it to 60, I'm going to change it to 30, right? I mean, that's just ridiculous. Right. So I don't approve of that at all. I also
all right, but if he's not exceeding his actual authority,
Exactly.
then
He's not. Yeah.
he's not authoritarian.
Right.
Yeah, it's probably a bad move.
It's a bad move, and I don't like it.
Right.
But as far as I know, it's perfectly legal. The other thing that I really am mad at him about is the Epstein files. I don't like when he came out with that. If you want to talk about Epstein, then I don't want your support anymore. Remember that whole episode where
He seemed to change his tune on.
yeah, it changed his tune on the whole question of releasing the Epstein files. I don't know if there's anything to the Epstein files or not, but I'm sick of it, and I just want it out in the open. You know, I want that done and behind us. So, what else you got?
I got Joy Reid on the fascist agenda. She
Joy
says
Reid.
they want
What
to
a
take us
joke that
back
woman is.
to no income tax, no regulations. You get to earn what you want. Your family inherits everything.
Boy, that
Like,
sounds pretty
wow,
good.
you're kind of making this whole fascist thing it's more appealing than I ever realized.
No, stop threatening me.
Make whatever you want. Leave it to your family. Government doesn't get it.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
I don't understand why that talentless moron is anywhere around the media. She's so stupid.
How about Newsom saying that ICE arresting illegal aliens is authoritarian actions by an authoritarian government?
Yeah, but it wasn't authoritarian for the Biden administration to allow millions of illegal aliens into the country, to spread them around the country in the dead of night, to fly them around, to fly them into some neighborhood, just drop
To turn
1,000
the
illegal
border
aliens.
patrol agent into travel agencies.
Yeah, just drop 1,000 illegal aliens into some town, so that the next day they're going to show up in your school, they're going to show up in your hospital, they're going to show up in your, and that's not authoritarian.
Right. So I guess so you've got your democratic socialists, which is basically what the Democrat Party is trying to be, or being taken over by. There was, I don't know if you know enough about your history to know about the thing called the National Socialist German Workers' Party in Germany. I don't know, 30s, 40s, something like that.
I think I've heard
Well, they had an agenda. You tell me which part of this sounds like. They want to control the schools,
Right.
control health care,
Right.
take away individual guns,
Okay.
control major industries.
Yeah.
They were really into like abortion and euthanasia.
Right.
Your race determines your identity.
Yeah.
They blame capitalism for all of its woes.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like Republicans to me.
It doesn't sound like Republicans at all.
No.
So if I'm looking for somebody who leans a little towards the you-know-whos,
Yes.
seems like
It does not seem like Donald Trump. That's for sure. So I guess my reaction to all this is Trump is a blustering, sometimes buffoonish character.
Yeah, sometimes, bullying, insulting.
Yes. And he's going after the deep state, and they're reacting against him.
Mm-hmm.
But all this authoritarian dictator stuff, I'm not seeing it.
I think every president, Mr. Phone in a Pen,
Yeah.
is frustrated has a vision for the country.
Yes.
He feels like he was elected
To
to
do
move
something,
the country in that direction.
Yeah.
And then he gets frustrated when you have courts and when you have the other branches of government
Saying, no, you can't do that.
No, you can't do that. I think that's the same level of frustration that Trump is experiencing.
Yes.
And you see it with pretty much any president who feels and maybe, you know what? And maybe the presidency does have too much authority.
Yeah.
But as long as you're not exceeding that authority, then I don't know what to tell you.
I think it does. And you have to layer on top of that the fact that Donald Trump had to put up with the last 8 years of the deep state, the Democrats, the media,
the lawfare.
the lawfare, this absolute ridiculous lying about him, going after him in dirty, nasty ways. And you think he's just supposed to say, "Oh, I forgive you. Never mind. We're going to move on."
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, right. I hope my next decision doesn't step on anybody's toes.
Yeah, you punch at somebody, they're going to punch back.
Well, that's it. I don't think of him as an attacker. He calls himself a counterpuncher.
Yeah.
And that's about right.
Yeah, it seems that way. Yeah. All right, so I don't think he's a dictator or authoritarian.
All right.
All right. Cheers. Thanks so much for listening to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Remember to visit us at pigweedandcrowhill.com or send us an email at pigweedshow@gmail.com.